It's hard for me to fall in love with a sport that I clearly suck at. If you ask me to name a few of my favorite sports, I'll probably mention baseball, hockey, maybe football, but not golf. Which in retrospect makes it seem weird that of all the sports-based video games I've ever played, the one sport I clearly spent a disproportionate amount of time playing is golf. I don't have a whole day to waste on an actual golf course. And even if I did take to the links, I'd probably have nightmares about the prospect of having to actually wait for other golfers to go before or after me. And once I've gotten past that, there's the rule of who goes next once everyone's taken a turn. Is it decided according to who's closest to the hole, who's furthest away, or is it just a house rule? I don't know. And then, to beat a dead horse, there's the fact that I just suck at golf. Luckily, I can circumvent all that jazz with Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color. It's a solid golf game, built around playing a very realistic round at one of 4 courses ranging from warm-up to challenging to damn near impossible. Mixed into that is a Pokemon-resemblant RPG in which you start with one of 4 generic characters, and from there you go about winning tournaments and defeating the club champs for each course. Each round you play earns you experience points, and when you earn enough, you can upgrade your drive, straighten your shot, or improve your control, making your progression easier little by little. So in the end, it has less to do with Mario than you'd expect, but it gets so absorbed into the campaign mode that it doesn't really matter. Besides, Mario and Luigi are playable from the start, so for everyone at the Marion Clubhouse who daydreams about playing around with Mario, you can show them who's boss by playing as Mario. Above everything though, this game is portable, so go ahead and sit alone in your cart playing Mario Golf on your Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance while your friends whack actual dimpled balls into thick grass, swimming pools, bummers, which is my affectionate term for bunkers, and of course, out of bounds. Who's having fun now? The one thing I can think of that kills some of the fun I have with this game is that I'm playing it in 2017. And for a Game Boy Color title, that means it's damn near impossible these days to play multiplayer, owing to the fact that I've never owned a link cable, so I legit have no idea what versus mode has to offer. I imagine you can play a casual or perhaps competitive round of golf with a friend if you really want to see which one of you is the superior virtual golfer, just in case showing each other your character's stats doesn't settle the score by itself. You could have Game Genied that guy for all I know. Also, if you have Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64, you can export your story mode guy from your Game Boy onto the Nintendo 64 and play as your guy on Mario Golf 64. Or so I thought. The 4 generic characters are indeed playable on Mario Golf 64 via the transfer pack, but apparently they all have predetermined stats. And names. Very bogus. I really would have liked to play as the hard-hitting Sasuke on Mario Golf 64, but it appears as though while his evil lookalike Joe is hitting up Yoshi's Island for a round, our beloved Grand Champion is stuck in another castle, that being Virtual Boy Advance, the emulator I used to record this gameplay footage. But for whatever reason, it doesn't work the other way around. That is, the players from Mario Golf 64 can't be used in this game. I don't have a transfer pack either, so I wouldn't know. Please don't ask me to confirm this. On the other hand, I didn't need the multiplayer function to enjoy this game. The story mode took care of everything. It's that good. For a Game Boy Color title, there's so much to do. Besides dominating the club tournaments and mentally destroying your opponents, you can gain experience points by completing fundamental exercises and later in the game challenging minigames with twists designed to test your accuracy, efficiency, and team play. When you collect enough experience points to level up, you are given the choice of 4 different attributes to upgrade. For example, do you want your player to hit for distance? Of course you do, that was a bad example. But aside from that, you can also improve your ever-declining control, decide how much your ball hooks, or more curiously, diminish the trajectory of your shot. But who would want to do that? I need my shots to go over the trees, not through them. You probably want to gain as much experience as you can though, because the courses do get harder. If you're not feeling ready for the inevitable club tournament at the dreaded Lynx Club, you can always play a practice round, which does count for experience points, so you could eventually dazzle at the club tournament with a 300-yard drive, which can easily beat me any day. Along the way, you'll come across a club maker who can replace your standard driver for one that specializes in power shots or pinpoint control, and then another guy who offers to change the direction of your hook from a fade to a draw or vice versa. Sadly, this change is permanent, and if you choose one special club, you can never choose the other. I found that out the hard way. Meanwhile, you're also tasked with defeating the 4 very different, heinously arrogant champions of each course in match play. Think of them like the mini-bosses. You don't have to play them in their respective courses, but again, it makes for good practice. Regardless of how you tackle the club tournaments or the respective club champs, the idea of the whole story is that, according to popular legend, if you become Grand Champion, which I guess is the Mario Golf equivalent to catching 'em all, you're invited to play a special 5th tournament against Mario, apparently the greatest golfer this world's ever seen. Everyone in Mario Golf worships Mario. Those guys you talk to who blab about the prospect of one day becoming Grand Champion, it's only to meet Mario. Apparently no one has ever been able to beat him, not even the current Grand Champion, who from the looks of it hasn't even tried. But this is all legend anyway. It's not like anything can actually be gained from winning all the tournaments. Or can it? I would like to continue this review with an epic but ominous monologue about following your dreams. If there's anything valuable that I can tell you about the legend of playing against Mario as Grand Champion, it is very horrendously true. Going back to that opening sequence, while it's not true that everyone who tries golf falls in love with the sport, there are 2 things I can't agree with. For some, golf is a way of life, and their dream is to be the very best. Now the question is, what happens when you do become the very best, like only Mario ever was? To win the tournaments is your real test. To do what is your cause? Let me tell you the story of Gene Yuss. I got the chance to talk to him during my several visits to the lounge at the Marion Clubhouse. As the Lynx Club champion, all he would ever say to me was, "I am the greatest of the great. The pleasure's mine." Meanwhile, for everyone else at the clubhouse, all they had to say was Mario, Mario, Mario. There was even a poster of Mario prominently displayed in the director's office. Every golfer's idol. No, for me, Mario was nothing short of a myth, but I still played through the tourneys and climbed the ranks. My eyes were set on playing the master of the Lynx Club, Gene Yuss. After I'd won the other 3 tournaments, he immediately accepted my challenge. I mean, he didn't have to. For all I knew, Mario might have been his dream too. But you know what he did after I defeated him? He gave up. Losing to me in match play destroyed his ego. After that, he set himself to do one thing and one thing only: defend his title. So, like the nice guy I was, I traded my driver for the control club, which actually set my drive back a few yards before entering the tournament he so badly wanted to win. But guess what happened? Seriously, take a wild guess. I won the tournament, and he gave up for good. Gene Yuss, the self-proclaimed greatest of the great, just kinda quit golf. I mean, he could always try to defeat me again, because if I could get good, so could he, unless he was getting old and to the brink of retirement anyways. I don't really know. As for me, I ended up receiving a letter acknowledging my status as the new Grand Champion. It was also an invitation. To what? Well, I was about to find out. In the middle of an ordinary-looking forest, a pathway was made leading to a place somewhere in the sky. I had to get there via cannon, so I was blasted away, high into the sky, and when I landed, I saw Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Bowser, a couple of mushroom guys, and Princess Peach, who gave me a formal welcome to the Mushroom Kingdom and announced that now that I was here, the special 5th tournament could begin. So I played in the tournament, and suffered a humiliating defeat. The course was really friggin' hard, I'd say even more so than Lynx Club. The hard sloping greens, the relatively small size, the awkwardness of the fairways, and some of the hazard placement especially, were just plain evil. Meanwhile, as the legend had told, Mario came away the victor. I knew of course that this only meant I had to get good, so I traveled back and forth from the fields of Earth to the Mushroom Kingdom to gain more experience. Fortunately, while I was busy leveling up, nobody had taken my title away, so I was able to re-enter the tournament whenever. And you know what? Eventually I played around where everything just seemed to click. I was getting favorable drives, avoiding pesky hazards, hitting around the trees for a change, and I even got a hole-in-one. With only a few holes left to play, I found myself ahead of everybody, including Mario. I don't know how I composed myself through the rest of the tournament, but I knew I had to press on, that Mario could easily chase me down because he was Mario and he could do that. At the last hole, I was ahead of him by 1 stroke. It was a par 4, so getting an eagle was highly unlikely, I could put him away if I just got a birdie, because I didn't want to find out what happened had we finished the tournament tied for first place. Would we both receive the championship trophy? Well, that seemed unlikely. Would we play sudden death? I stared down that birdie putt for a long time. I had no idea how Mario was going to finish. Literally all 28 of the other golfers in that tournament had finished already, but only Mario and the Grand Champion could be saved for last, in classic fashion. And how fitting. They occupied the first and second place slots going into the final hole, and it was now time for one of them to seal the deal. So I softly whacked that dimpled ball, and it sank into the cup. At that moment, I had reached the pinnacle of golfing success. The legendary Mario gave way to Grand Champion, the legendary Sasuke. And you want to know what happened after that? Well, nothing. When I reached the top, no one else could touch me. There was nothing more for me to do to chase total victory. With that, I was left to live a dark and cruel lie back at the Marion Clubhouse where just about nobody ever found out of my success. For a while, all seemed well. I was able to bask in my newfound golfing glory without becoming an instant celebrity. I mean, who doesn't like the privacy? But soon enough, I started to have nightmares. What about all the other golfers who went before me in their own quest to become the greatest of the great? What if they eventually found out that I had defeated every golfer's idol? Had I killed their dream to meet Mario? I had taken Mario's legendary status away from him, but I was not Mario. Not even close. It seemed very likely that someone might randomly see an ultra shiny championship trophy in the center of the trophy room. It wasn't like the room was restricted to the public. At some point I knew I needed to hide from them because continuing to live in secrecy in the fear that someone might uncover my secret was secretly killing me inside. So I went back to the Mushroom Kingdom where I became a permanent resident. Mario never spoke to me much, at all. He just seemed way too astonished that I'd won the tournament. I mean, it wasn't like he couldn't try to beat me all over again like he'd done at least 3 times previously. Except there were no more tournaments. I had won the last tournament ever played in the Mushroom Kingdom. So basically, I was forced to retire at the cusp of the golf rankings, and my title was to last forever. I had achieved my ultimate dream, effectively killing it. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go file that into my big book of super awesome real sketches of reality that are 100% real. Moral of the story, if you want your chance to be the very best like only I ever was, then take it. But please, have another game lined up for when you do succeed, or even before then if at all possible. It's a long way to the top for sure, and they say that the journey, while it doesn't last forever, is far more meaningful than the destination. That sentiment rings true in every sense imaginable in Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color. This game receives a 10 out of 11.